Amen.
May God bless you on this day. Kronia Palat to all of you who celebrate. And if I could just take a moment to say a few words to you on this day of Annunciation. Today is a very unique day because it's a day in our church, a feast day in our church, where we celebrate life. And historically, we celebrate the death of those who fought for life. So from the church perspective, Annunciation is the feast day, a major feast day in our church, where we celebrate the Archangel Gabriel coming to the Virgin Mary and proclaiming to her that she would bear a son, also announcing to her that her kinswoman, her friend, her relative, Elizabeth, was also going to bear a son, but he would not be the Son of God, but rather the forerunner, St. John the Baptist. But we hear about the Virgin Mary submitting her will to accept this awesome and universe-changing event. And I don't say just the world or just the church, but the entire universe. To have the Creator come down to be like the created so that we can become like the Creator. St. Athanasius, as I've mentioned many times before, says, God became like man so that man could become like God. And today we celebrate this awesome and inexplicable wonder as we hear in the prayer services. This message that comes to her, this pure virgin, this beautiful maiden, comes to her ears and is unbelievable, but yet she submits to the will of God. And then as we just celebrated the doxology for the 25th of March, it's the doxology remembering those who fought to stay alive, those who fought to keep the church alive. For those of you who know, part of my doctoral research was in the history of Greece for the church becoming a church that was being destroyed to a church that stood up and fought. The church that had even a dance, a cliff dance of people jumping off the cliff, ending their lives so that they wouldn't be taken into occupation, to a church that stood up and said no more and continued to say no more as the centuries went on and as they continued to fight in wars in following years from the 1800s. So we hear this doxology today speaking about those who nobly fought and lost their lives for the life of the church. Not for just the country, but the church. Now, there's many written things back and forth on who was the one that proclaimed the start to fight against those invaders and the ones who were suppressing not only the country, but the church. And many of the history books speak about clergy standing up and moving forward and leading the charge of their people and being part of a secret group called the Filiki Eteria, this group that came forward and planned in order to save the church. And in saving the church, they saved the country. We are in a time in our lives right now where we hear, no matter what channel you turn on, about life, and we hear about death on this beautiful feast day. We hear of the life of people preserving their lives in solitude and quarantine, and we hear about the tragic deaths of so many as this pandemic continues to grow throughout our country and throughout the world. It's a time for us today in this charmolipi, as they say in Greek, this bitter joy, the joy of the Annunciation and the bitterness of the sadness that surrounds us in our society, the loss of lives, the loss of freedom, and the unknown of the future. However, you must remember in your prayers, in your reaching out to God, that He reminds us that with Him all things are possible and nothing is impossible. Keep asking Him for guidance. keep asking him for help, for healing, not only for you and protection for you and your family, but also for all those throughout the world. The ones who unfortunately are having the medical field decide whether they live or die because of the lack of resources. We need to pray for these people, not just for us, but for the world. And as we say in the liturgy and in every petition that is at the beginning of a service, in peace let us pray to the Lord. For the peace from above and for the salvation of our souls let us pray to the Lord. And then the third one always is for peace in the world, not just in our household, but in our world. The development of peace from personal to our family to the entire world, to reach out and to ask for God's peace and for his hand of mercy and grace during this time, so that in our suffering we will find perfection, as St. Paul says, and in our quiet and in our solitude we will hear the voice of God and be able to speak to him, listen to him, and reach out to him more and more and more, so that our souls don't wither and that our lives don't decline, but that we continue to move closer to him in growth, in holiness, in forgiveness, in righteousness, so that we can become closer to him in this time. It's a time when Christ announces to us through the words of the church that you will bear a new life, not Christ child, as the Virgin Mary did, but you will bear a new life. What is that life going to look like for you? And I'm not talking about your finances. I'm not talking about your jobs, which all are in our prayers, that we all recover financially from this great shutdown of the world. But our new life, what is it going to look like with our spiritual innards, our spiritual being? What is that new life going to be? Christ is announcing to us through this pandemic that this is a time for us to start over with our spiritual lives, to start new, to let go of the things of the past, to let go of the grudges that we might have had, the lack of forgiveness that we might have held back on people, the lack of our own self-awareness and our own ability or inability to ask God for forgiveness. This is a time for a new life for all of us, but a new spiritual life. It's a time when we recount those who have gone on to be with God, as we do in our prayers and as we did in the doxology today. But this is an announcement to all of us to live new. I pray that this beautiful feast day, where we see the Virgin Mary just acknowledge this message and say, this is a strange and hard message for me to understand, but I will do it. How many of us, I bet every single one of you watching today, is saying, how strange, how weird is this message that we hear in our world around us, to shut down, to step away from people, to not go in places and to have distance from others. But yet it's a time for us to grow. Don't waste this time. Use it for the growth of your soul, the growth of your mind or your heart. Read. If you have questions about anything, about what should I read, what should I do, how should I pray, how should I fast, how should I do anything, please email me. It is never a bother. I am on call for you all the time. The church is not ceasing to reach out to you. And today I also want to thank our streaming crew, who's not even here in the church. So many of you throughout the world are telling me how wonderful the stream is here and who's running the cameras. There's a group of people in different homes doing different parts, from the parts on the bottom to the side to working the cameras. And our stream here is even more extraordinary with the presence of a human being working the cameras, because the cameras zoom, they can follow people. And the upgrades that we had already initiated, but haven't finished, were to make sure that this stream was more clear in your home so that you could see the church in its beauty with crispness and be able to see the faces of the clergy and of the chanters and of the altar boys and all those who would come in front of the camera with clarity. And we, even now, are working hard so that we can upgrade the system for you in this time. We know that there are thousands of you out there that are watching, and we know that it is important for you to stay connected. I wanted to also tell you today that I have, early this morning, I filmed a little, it was my first time filming myself with a selfie stick. A funny story is I have a selfie stick because I cannot turn sharp enough to come into our parking lot to reach the key card where the gate is. So I have a selfie stick with my key card at the end, and I pull it out and I wave it in front of the gate, and the gate goes up so that I can pull into the parking lot. But today I used it for its original intent, which was as a selfie stick. And I filmed a short film behind the altar, because so many of you from all over are asking me about the interior of our church, the beauty of the interior of the church. They want to see more. And I know that even people within our Assumption community have not seen behind the altar per se. So I have a video that I will put online tomorrow as part of my daily message and video to you, so that you can watch it and hopefully learn a little bit more about our church in the back. I also want to ask you two other things. This time is a very unique time, and I ask that you do one thing if you are able to. I want you to take a picture of how you are encountering church in your homes. If you are sitting in front of a computer, take a picture of it. If you're sitting watching your phone with your family, take a picture of your family watching their phones. I would like it for my own, I don't want to say posterity, but just my own documentation of how you at home are experiencing the divine liturgy and the services in your own household. Another thing that has come in the numerous emails that I receive on a daily level is people asking different questions about the church. So what I would like to do, and to ask you, if you at home, watching at home, would like to send a question to me via email, you can send me an email and with any type of question, and I will try and do a video answer that I will post on my YouTube channel so that you can watch the video and learn. I will not divulge any names of anyone who asks me a question, no matter how sensitive or how plain the question might be. I will not share your name as the person who asked the question. So feel free to ask me any type of question, and instead of a typed response, I will do a video response of that question, announcing the question and giving the video response, so that you can understand the answer and the questions that so many people are having that are watching at home and experiencing church in a digital way. I also want to remind you that we are lighting candles in the narthex for people. If you would like to have a candle lit, you can contact me directly through my email, or you can, if you click on the Give button at the bottom of the website, you can make a donation, and if it's, I can tell by the donation that comes through if it's for candles or not. Please know that we're doing that for those dozens and dozens of people who have sent emails for candles to be lit. They are being lit for you, so please be reassured of that. And to know that in this time of difficulty, the number one thing you can do is to pray, to be with each other, show kindness, show forgiveness, pray, and ask God to be with you. This time is a time where we all contemplate our mortality and we look and say, will it be my time now? However, like I've mentioned in numerous times before, the priest, when he celebrates the divine liturgy, is supposed to celebrate as if it's his first liturgy, with the joy of being a new clergyman, standing in front of the altar table, being able to offer bread and wine, and by God's grace to receive it back as the body and blood of Christ. But it's also a time for us when we come to know God in a different way. So please take this time to know God in a different way, and also to realize that the priest also celebrates the liturgy as if it's his last liturgy, as if he were never able to do it again, as if it's his first and his last. And I'm not saying, God willing, that this is my last liturgy, but the melancholy and the desire to continue to serve has to be, when we stop our prayers, that we have that inspiration, that light, that drive to continue to want to speak to God, as if it was our first time speaking to God in our homes, and also, what if it was our last? What will we say to him? And for those many of you at home who are saying, how do I pray right now? I'll just ask you, grab your cell phone and hold it and say, if I had God on the other end of my cell phone right now, on a phone call, what would I say to him? That's the beginning of prayer. Envisioning yourself speaking directly with God. And if the prayers confuse you, and if it becomes too complicated, be simple. You know, Christ even speaks about the Pharisees, and he says they go out and they say these complicated prayers to impress people. And they have no love in their heart. They have no communication with God, because it's not from the heart. Pray from your heart, as if you have God on the other end of your line, as if it's the first time you're speaking to God, and as if it was the last time you're speaking to God. I pray that you are all blessed and taken care of, and that you stay safe. And we will stream again on Friday evening at 6 p.m., not 7, 6 p.m. We will stream the salutation service. I pray that you have a blessed day. Please continue to look on our the YouTube channel. For those who don't know, my YouTube channel address is youtube.com/Father Peter Spiro, spelled out F-A-T-H-E-R, Peter Spiro, S-P-I-R-O. For those of you who need my email address, it's frpspiro999@gmail.com. And some people are saying, why is the 999 in there, Father? Well, 999 used to be my police badge number, so it was the highest number that they could give in the police department, so that's why they gave me that, and that was my number, and that became my email. So there's no other alternative agenda there or anything, it's just my email. So frpspiro999@gmail.com. If you call the church, please know that those calls are being diverted to my cell phone, and also that our secretary, our lovely secretary Sandy, is also working from her home, taking care of your needs and any questions that you might have. You can also email the church, and the link is on the website. If you scroll up a little bit from where you're watching the stream today, you'll be able to find that as well. Have a blessed day. Kronia Pala to all of you, and to thank you to our chanter Peter, who continues to be here with me chanting. We look at each other from a distance and smile and wave and from a distance, but we need to keep each other safe and healthy during this time, so that we can continue to bring the church to you in your home, wherever you're at, and may you continue to share this liturgy with us, to know that you are in my prayers, and I pray that you keep me in yours as well. God bless you all.